Hey, it's Kate here from Marvelous Videos. Today we look at the underground grotesque creatures of the Devil Below, explored. What is so special about The Devil Below, which has become a viral hit on Netflix and is currently in the top 10 most watched list on Netflix? Is it the packed suspense, the bizarre, creepy ending, or the unexplored monster? This 2021 horror film is directed by Bradley Parker, while the film stars Alicia Sanz, Adan Canto, Avery, and many others. The film follows a team of researchers trying to locate a mining town, Shookum Hills, in the Appalachian region, while encountering the creepy mystery and terrifying monsters from the underground. The disappearance of the town's population, the vanishing of the town from the map, with the continuous burning of the coal mine fire adds up to the mystery. The film started its production in May 2018 in Kentucky, being filmed on a script written by Scherbarth and Stefan Jaworski. Director Bradley Parker is also known for his direction of Chernobyl Diaries. At the same time, few of the actors in this film were also a part of the Chernobyl Diaries cast. Let us now visit the world of the disappeared underground coal mine and find out about the devils who live below. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. The Devil Below. The movie commenced in the coal mines of the fictional town of Shookum Hills in the Appalachian region, where we find a man named Shutman and his son Derek arguing about another co-worker. Derek is suddenly attacked by an unknown creature. His father tried his best to save his son, but the creature stabbed him in the shoulder and paralyzed him.
Dad!
Derek?
Please.
Shutman stared in despair as Derek was pulled away by the monster before his eyes. Before we realize anything, the monster attack commences and puts us on the edge of our seat. After many years, we meet Ariane, an adventurer who was supposed to guide a team of scientists, Darren, Sean, Terry, and Jamie, trying to locate the coal mine in Shookum Hills. This town had vanished from the map since the 1970s with its population. The local newspapers and the people around believe that the underground coal fire that opened up sinkholes in and around the town was responsible for the disappearance of the townspeople. On their way to the coal mine, Ariane and the group stopped at a store to buy supplies and get the direction to Shookum Hills. At first, the shop owner denied any knowledge of such a town, but on insisting, he warned them to go back and not to proceed with the journey. As the team moved on with the journey, the shop owner called someone named Dale and informed him that there was a problem. Soon, Ariane noticed that a car was following them, but she managed to elude the pursuers and found an abandoned road, blocked by an electrical fence. They were surprised to find electrical fencing of the abandoned area in the middle of nowhere. Ariane found a way by climbing up a tree to enter the deserted area. At night, as the group debated about the fate of Shookum Hills, the locals appeared distressed as they tried to locate Ariane and her group and get them out of that place at any cost. Later that night, when Ariane asked Darren about his expedition, he explained that he was there to find out the exact reason behind the vanishing of the town, so that this kind of disaster could be avoided in the future. The next morning, they set out on their journey and finally reached the Shookum mines. They were ecstatic with their discovery and soon found a sinkhole covered with an electrified fence. They disabled the electricity and lowered sensors to understand the environment inside. But soon, Terry was dragged inside the sinkhole. Ariane and Jamie descended into the sinkhole to find and rescue Terry, but he was nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, Darren and Sean were confronted by an angry Dale threatening them with a gun and asking them why they had opened the sinkhole cover. As Dale tried to cut the rope, Sean hit him unconscious. Once Ariane and Jamie returned from the sinkhole, she told them that there were unearthly creatures in the hole. The group fled into the woods, but Sean was attacked and killed. Some of the locals rescued Ariane, Darren, and Jamie under the guidance of none other than Shutman, whom we met in the first scene. Now we know that Shutman was the co-founder of the Shookum Hills mines. He revealed to the group that the real reason behind the disappearance of the town was the devilish monsters that live below the earth. Ever since, he and the remaining townsmen had tried their best to keep the creatures contained. Ariane volunteered to the two locals, Elroy and Shelby, to show the sinkhole they had opened, while Darren and Jamie decided to follow her. But the creatures ambushed them as Elroy and Shelby sacrificed their lives to save Ariane, Darren, and Jamie. Jamie tried to kill a few creatures with a grenade, but he himself got killed when the grenade detonated. Totally exhausted, Darren finally confessed that this expedition was not to locate the Shookum Hills and investigate the disaster, but he had been hired by a coal mining company who believed that there was some rare mineral in the coal of the Shookum Hills mines which had burned for a longer time. The entire research was about that rare mineral. The motive behind the expedition was the greed of money and recognition, not concern about nature and humanity. Ariane also confessed that in her previous expedition in the Himalayas, an experienced climber of her group fell off the mountain and kept hanging, while she had to cut the rope to save her finally. She consoled Darren about situations in life when a person has to make tough decisions. Darren refused to move on. Ariane left for the moment, determined to bring back more help for him. But as soon as she reached the surface above, she was captured by a creature and paralyzed by the venom. She regained consciousness for a brief time when she saw that she was being carried away in a raft with the corpse of Shelby. Soon she was stung again and she fainted. The next time she awakened, she met Darren and Sean. Sean is then consumed alive by the queen of these monsters. Next, it was Ariane's turn, but in the nick of time, she threw the grenade in the queen's mouth while Darren started the alarm on the phone to distract the monsters. Darren and Ariane fled and began to climb up the rope, but many creatures chased them and one of them started climbing up the rope too. Ariane passed him the knife to fight, but Darren sacrificed his life by cutting the rope and saving Ariane. The local people reached the sinkhole, and one of them was about to cut the rope with which Ariane was climbing, but Shutman stopped that person and saved her. The local people used flamethrowers to drive the creatures back to the cave and managed to seal the sinkhole that Darren had opened. While Shutman drove Ariane, she told him about his son's death, and he requested her to stay back in the town and fight the creature with him. At first, she seemed reluctant, but then she readily agreed and got into the car with Shutman. The movie is decent enough within its budget to keep you on the edge of your seat. With its tight-packed plot, it gets to the action from the very first scene. The background score and the cinematography are appropriate according to the tense theme of the film. The performance of the actors is also pretty impressive. We would repeat exactly the same thing that the other critics have mentioned. This is not a movie that would go for the awards-taking film list, but at least it has been one of the most watched films on Netflix. One of the major drawbacks of this movie is the dark atmosphere. Most of the film has been shot in so much darkness that hardly anything is visible. This is supposed to be a creature feature film, so let's discuss a bit of the creature. As much as we could see, anyway. Underground, grotesque creatures explained. The concept of the monster creatures in The Devil Below was pretty good, and it could have been terrifying if and only if we could see it properly. Let us recall that at the beginning we were made to understand that Shutman and his son Derek had been attacked by the creature. Shutman tried to help his son, but the creature was too powerful for him, and Derek had been pulled away in front of his eyes. When Ariane and the group reached the locality of Shookum Hills, the tense atmosphere was evident from the conversation of the local people, and the tight security that was being maintained to keep people away from the abandoned mines. Unlike the local people, the outsiders were totally unaware of the devils below and the threat they posed to mankind. The entry gate and the opening of the sinkhole were all electrified. If the group had paid more attention to all these minute details, they might have thought twice before entering the area. The found footage clips also had a scary impact. Next, we find the existence of the creature right below the sinkhole of the abandoned Shookum Hills mines, when Terry was dragged inside the sinkhole. Ariane and Jamie went down into the sinkhole to save Terry, but Ariane could hear the strange sounds inside the cave, which made her suspicious that something unearthly lived there. By the time Sean was dragged away, it had become evident that something monstrous was after them. We could only get glimpses of the grotesque humanoid creatures in the dark which were attacking them. Later, when the local people rescued them, Shookum revealed the secret of the monsters, explaining the existence of tight security in and around the area. Later, Shelby told them that the monsters were attracted to loud sounds. She also said that they have a sharp, pointed, poisonous tentacle which they use to attack and paralyze people. Soon they heard that due to the opening of the sinkhole, the creatures had come out and were roaming everywhere. Their primary task was to cover and seal the sinkhole to protect mankind from the wrath of the devil below. Unfortunately, everyone was captured by the creature, alive or dead. When Ariane was taken inside, she met Darren and Sean, who were still alive. Sean explained that these monsters were alternate creatures that remain underground in a colony, with the queen as their leaders like the ants or bees. Before he could say anything else, he was dragged away and fed to the queen. We could see the grisly queen whose series of sharp jaws could give anyone a nightmare. So then, it was evident that all the human beings that were dragged away were brought as a feast to the queen who was their leader. Though we're quite curious to know what did the queen eat for so many years when the sinkhole was locked and no one was around. Anyway, the queen was killed when Ariane threw a grenade inside her mouth, while the other monsters chased her, but she managed to escape. The locals managed to drive them back into the cave and seal the sinkhole once again.
Do it.
Why you should watch The Devil Below. As we mentioned earlier, apart from the minimum view of the monster creature, this film offers everything you need in a horror movie. We have warned you about the darkness issue in the film. No matter how hard we tried, we could not get a good glimpse of the monster. We tried the brightness, contrast, fast forward, rewind, but no luck. One good thing is that there was the only practical effect and no CGI for the monster creature in this movie. But there should have been more of a creature effect visible to the audience. There is plenty of scope for a sequel to this film, and we hope that we get to see more of the actual creature in the next film. When you're craving a monster horror movie on a lazy day, and your mind doesn't need anything complex to digest, this is just the right movie on the watch list. If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks!